Thank you very much for the nice introduction. I'm really glad to see you all here today, my Humphrey co-fellows and friends, professors, and students here. Today, as you can see on screen, I would like to discuss a little bit about the disability rights and situation in developing countries. Why I'm highlighting developing countries, some of the cases, some of the messages will be talked today may not be relevant fully in the United States now. So that's why I don't want to confuse the people who are in the United States. But what I can say, the people who maybe were in the period where some change started in disability field in the United States might recall some moments here, because 30, 40 years back in the United States, some things were like this, which are now developing countries are facing. So here's some article from UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. I really like this statement here. I would like to challenge you. Does anybody have any idea what these numbers mean?
Can you read it?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, it's 1-7 or 15%.
That's the world population of people with disabilities.
Thank you. That's.
Do I win a prize?
Yes. I will get some Uzbek dish here for you. Yeah, that's correct. As Steve said, in 2011, the first ever world report came on disability situation, and they said, it was in 2011, May, it said now 15% of world population live with disability. Before that, it used to be 10%. So in 2011, it says 15%. Thank you, Darren. That means 1 of every 7 people live with disabilities. And another question I would like to bring here, does everyone here have friend with disability? Well, I would like to clarify what friend means in different cultures, different settings. For different people, friend means differently. Like friend, from my understanding, you invite for birthdays, celebrations, you go party, club, cinema. So what I mean is, it means in every 7 of our friends, 1 of them, according to statistics, should be a person with disabilities. And in developing countries, it is different. I'm now particularly talking about Asia-Pacific region, which I know more than other developing continents. It says 1 of every 22 people live with disability, or 4.6%. So as you can see, it's very low comparing to global disability situation. And, well, statistics are very important, but they don't mean anything if you don't use them, or if you don't create any programs to change the statistics. And why this difference? I would like to highlight here from my own studies, learnings, what are the major causes of this big gap between global statistics and developing country, particularly in Asia-Pacific. Actually, there are several reasons for that. One of them is definition of disability. Disability understood, classified, categorized differently in different countries even. Not only continents, even countries. Another one is purpose of disability statistics. Why some countries collect statistics to produce some plans for their budgeting purposes, or some countries produce them for monitor how human rights is being followed. So different purposes, different statistics will generate. Then methods of data collection. Some are like countries, for example, again talking about Asia Pacific, there's 49 countries which generate this statistic which I mentioned. So Australia says there are 18% of people with disabilities in the country, while Lao Republic says 1%. And there is a difference in their collection of data. In Lao Republic, they put questions as a part of population census, only like 2-3 questions. But in Australia, they have set of questions from different perspectives. That's why this big difference comes. So it's about method of data collection. Then cultural aspects of disability. What I mean here, in many developing countries now, traditions like disabled people are seen like with big taboo. You know, they don't want to show disabled people into public. They want to hide, keep in the houses, not to, because there are many reasons. And as a result, they don't get into statistics because nobody knows where they are. And biggest thing what I want to highlight here, I mean, I don't want to speak about all reasons, but what I want to highlight about the barriers is one of the big reasons of this difference in statistics. So throughout my presentation, I will speak about different kinds of barriers which create problems for disabled people to be equal participant. So mainly we discuss about physical barriers, attitudinal barriers, and legal barriers I want to highlight here. As physical barriers, as you can see on the screen, we have a ramp. It seems somebody says you have a ramp because the law says you must have a ramp everywhere. Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense if there is a ramp or there is not a ramp if we cannot really help the person to get into the building anywhere independently. Or there's a lack of assistance in communication. You know, when some people say communication, like, you know, for example, sign language is missing, or Braille language document is missing, or JAWS system, which turns the typed information into voice, is missing. But I would like to look at this assistive or the services or these kind of accessible features from different perspective. If this screen is not here, or if this is not here, if table is not here, I think we wouldn't be able to talk and show these screens or share the message. Or we wouldn't be able to talk with our families without Skype or phone or without computer. And I see this ramp, sign language, everything exactly equally same as what I just mentioned. They are part of everyone's need. And people say, oh, we cannot afford wheelchairs because they are expensive. Well, I think wheelchair-assisted devices can never, ever be expensive. This is kind of integral part of everyone's living. And I remember back in my country, I just started working in the disability field, and I was sitting on a wheelchair to do some maneuvers, how it works. And some of my colleagues in the office said, oh, don't sit on it. And I said, why? You'll become disabled. This is kind of, you know, stigmatic prejudice or superstition. Then I said, like it was a bad joke again, and she was going out, putting her sunglasses. Then I said, don't wear it, it's black glass. You will be blind. So this is what about how you see different things. And wheelchair, glass, umbrella, bicycle, all are assistive devices that we need in our daily life. Even a chair, we're sitting here, if you stand long, we will get tired. That's why we use a chair to sit. This is our assistive device. Same as wheelchair, same as any assistive device people with disabilities need. But these kind of questions are not much raised in developing countries yet. And physical barriers, I found it somewhere on the internet and tried to change. So this is like in every house or buildings, we see stairs to get from one point to upper, then again upper, including this building. Most of infrastructure, I think, built based on the needs of people, but mainly for the people without disabilities. If you can see here, stairs, like they're about, each stair is about maybe 20, 30 centimeters high. And why is that? And I think it is made this way, why it's not 1 meter? Or why it's not 5 centimeters? It's made to make it convenient to have you bend your knee and get it. So it's adjusted to the bending the knee and get it up. So this is based on the needs of the people who just walk and normal step. But what happens if this is the case? The people even walking or who doesn't, if you don't have a stairs, they will face same problem like disabled people or somebody on wheelchair would face this situation. Like if somebody is here on wheelchair, it's difficult because there is no ramp and there is no handrail, but even person without wheelchair here would be exactly the same situation with person with wheelchair here. So this is about all not considering the needs of everyone. And I would like to touch some issues. Why is that? But physical accessibility, technologies are lacking knowledge. There are many in developing countries. I've been seeing in the United States, I'm very amazed, many different technologies are being developed, but there is not enough knowledge about it in developing countries. And one of the big things, I believe, there is people weigh between cost and benefit and human rights values. Some people say, this is too expensive, or accommodating the building with some accessible feature will be too expensive. Well, which is important here? Human values, human rights value, or cost of something? Then when the constructors, engineers develop some products or buildings, anything, they don't consult with people with disabilities. They produce, like as we saw in the early one, ramp. Somebody construct a ramp. But did anybody discuss with the person with disability designing? Because it misses handrail, it's too steep. Then another aspect is people with disabilities themselves in developing countries not much empowered, and they don't demand. They don't know. They even themselves, some of them cannot imagine what should be there. And they are not so empowered. And because most of them stay in the houses or institutions. Then attitudinal barriers. I found just this recently on the internet, sounded to me very interesting. This comment, like I can read out. Whilst waiting for a bus with my guide dog by my side, the bus is pulling up and the lady says, "Isn't it wonderful how they can read the bus numbers, such intelligent dogs?" And I replied, "You should read some of his poetry. It's amazing." It's by, I like, this is a real reflection of the attitude and not being aware of people. Then another one here, I also liked, I myself experienced this. There are organizations or projects, international organizations, doing some work in field of disability, to amend laws or produce new laws or regulations. But they work with disabled people's groups, but then produce something and gives them to present somewhere. And they don't involve them in the production process. We know it. We know it. We are lawyers, or we are medical specialists, or we are social workers. We know what you need. And they develop, produce it, and they give it. Then, in public, these people, or people with disabilities, just presented that it is their thing. This is, again, brings people into disempowerment. And some of the big reasons for these attitudinal problems, I see overprotection of people with disabilities by family members. From the early childhood, we know parents love their children. It's very much universal thing. We know and everyone appreciates. But sometimes it's too much. It's overprotection, like keeping the child in the house, in the family, keep him from bullying by other children or being fallen or something or hit somewhere. That brings a lot of barriers of public attitude because other people don't see them because the children are all the time at home. And that it brings to invisibility of people into public places. When they're couple times come out, people started staring at them because they have never seen somebody on a wheelchair or somebody using cane or talking sign language. People start staring at them, and after facing couple times this kind of attitude, they think, well, it's embarrassing and it's better to stay at home. Then again, they get into their isolated life. And there are some cultural values and religious misperceptions. What I mean here is people want to help. People want to do something good for people who are in need. Like I know some in Muslim world, countries, there is a word saying sawab. So people do it. I want to help somebody needy. But there are some things, this is what I say is misperceptions or differences. I can bring some example. There was one case, it was about 4 or 5 years. My friend was working in some state kind of institution, and he said some rich businessman brought in his car trunk, I think about 500 of eyeglasses to donate to the people staying at the institution. And guess what? 500 eyeglasses. What to do with them now? But that guy, businessman, thinks he did a good thing, good donation, help to somebody in need. But in fact, he did not meet, these glasses did not meet the real needs of those people. 500 same eyeglasses. We know not everyone uses same eyeglasses, minus plus things. So what I mean here, people want to do good things, but don't consider what their really needs are. And there's a lot of prejudice and stereotypes about people with disabilities. Well, you cannot walk or you cannot see. That's why it's difficult for you to study in our institute or university, in our school. That's why, well, come on, why don't you discuss individually this thing? This is lots of big things about the prejudice. And last one here, people with disabilities themselves don't see themselves as independent human being. There is a lot of lack of understanding or awareness about themselves. They don't look at themselves, wait, what I want from this life? Maybe I want to learn something, or I want to bring some good into this, or this is what I don't want. And they don't recognize, they don't see their own dignity. And that's also brings into big attitudinal barriers. And in the family, they are kept, they don't decide. I know some people who are nearly 40 years, they don't decide their own life. Somebody buys food, somebody buys clothes, somebody buys them something and gives them, and they have to use it. They don't discuss it with them. And about legal barriers, there are some concrete cases I would like to speak about. In some countries we have, many countries I think have a quota system of employment with disabilities. What it means, if the organizations has, for example, in different countries differently. Like if company or public, private, or non-government, let's say if they hire 100 people, and according to the legislation, it might be either 2 or 3% of the staff should be people with disabilities. That's a law. That's good. But in implementation, they create many different problems. The companies want to stick to the law. They don't want to break the law. But in practice, they are not treating as it should be. There is they don't accommodate them with a needed job place. Like for example, physical environment is not provided there, or assistance. Like for example, somebody was needing sign language, they don't provide somebody needed services for that. And that's legal barriers. I say that that's a legal barrier because its implementation monitoring is not in place. It's like building a ramp. We have a ramp. But if you don't use it, who cares if you have or not? Reissuance of disability in every... This is also another example. In some countries, I know people with disabilities have to go through special commission review to prove that they have disability. They have an impairment. Like in some countries, it's every 1 year, somewhere in 2 years. And it's very funny. Like somebody has without one limb or upper both limbs, and they have to go every 2 years to show that their limbs are not growing. This is silly. And they go, okay, and they see, they're mainly medical doctors, and they see these both limbs, upper limbs, are still same as it was 2 years ago. They, okay, go, mark. But before that, people have to go to medical treatments. You know what it is? Like you get this disability for the next 2 years, but you need to work on improving your health condition. You need to get health treatments to improve your condition. So what does that mean? You need to work on growing your limbs? That's silly. And that brings lots of financial implications on those people. They have to go to hospital, pay for doctor, pay for medicine, but at the end, we know the limbs are not going to grow. And there is employment-related problems on law. There is a grouping, like based on the severity of disability. Some people, like let's say most severe, when they go through this again, same commission by health professionals, they give a conclusion on certificate that is ineligible for work. This is official statement. And when the disabled person, he has some skill, he has learned IT skills, for example, he wants to be hired by somebody, and this employer will ask about his disability certificate. Because according to the official regulation, the person with severe disability is not eligible to work. Then employer doesn't want to rule this law, and he asks, and he presents that statement, says ineligible for work. Then he said, no, I cannot hire you, because according to official statement, you should not be. This is another legal barrier. And then there are some reasons why I think why laws like that. I believe lawmakers have no direct disability of experience. They don't know. They're just assumptions. They assume. They read on something. But I believe it's very individual. Disability needs are very much individual. And lawmakers don't interact much with a group of disability advocates. And there's, of course, lack of strong disability rights advocates in developing countries. They don't advocate. They don't demand what should be there. They don't speak out. And it's because of, again, lack of knowledge, lack of being supported by other people. And that's because they are facing barriers, attitudinal barriers, and staying at home, not going to school. And this is a very vicious circle. And laws are not assessed how they are working. Are they changing? Are they making good or not? And there's big, again, assumption or prejudice that they underestimate the lives. For example, if some disabled person is doing same thing as ordinary, person without disability. For example, if some person with disability became a professor at a university, he is saying, oh, he's a hero. He's doing a lot. He's doing big things. But in fact, he's professor as any other non-disabled person. But he's doing a lot. So this university is doing a lot for this person. So he must be happy. He must be happy that we're doing it for him. No, it's not like, it should not be like this. He should be treated as everyone. And there's another thing, equality. I want to analyze a little bit about this understanding of equality. There's human rights and equal rights understanding, but I believe equal rights is not meaning living equally with everyone. Like on paper, on constitutions, on laws, we have statements, the people with disabilities, all women, all children, all refugees have equal rights with everyone. Yeah. But it doesn't still guarantee if you are living equally with everyone. And I like this illustration here. Equal rights and equal opportunities. I think this is a law, I would say. Equal rights, law says they all have law. Everyone is equal. But you see, if they don't have equal opportunities, they are not enjoying with everyone. In this illustration, like some people have different heights, but even they are not given equal opportunities, they cannot practice this law. I have one good example, one case. It happened. It was, I think, in 2011. there was my former colleague. They were going to start a new project on disability, and with the manager of the project, I discussed how this recruitment process is going, and I asked, are you going to hire some people with disability in your project, because this project is about disability? And what this person said, well, we have open competition, and everyone has equal opportunities. I mean, everyone can apply, even disabled, non-disabled. Then I said, what are your requirements? Well, they should know English, they should have a graduate degree, this IT skills, 5 years of experience. Then I said, well, do you think in this country you can find some person with disability who can compete with the youth, I mean, without disabilities, have been studying in the West, doing work and knowing all these things? I know you are, because of a formality, you posted, everyone should be given right to apply, but in reality, at the end, we don't have that strong people with disabilities who has with such advanced knowledge. This is a reality, because they never had the opportunity to study well. And they said, what she said, I know, but they can apply. This is what our reality. Then I said, why don't you include into one of your criteria, candidate must have disability? Then situation would be different. And people, even who's had some very advanced studies, experience, but if they don't have disability, you don't tease them in the competition. This is about all accommodating. This is what I say is equal opportunities. And here I would like to ask for 5 volunteers to come out. I would like to just do a little bit interactive part here to highlight one of the important aspects in developing countries. Anybody? Any 5 people here?
I'm coming.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
All right.
So we have this here boat. We call it human boat. One more, please. Okay, thank you. Okay. Actually, this is interaction will be between these 5 people and the rest of the group.
All right.
So 5 people, we are 5 different people. And we are traveling on a journey on the boat, and we're in the sea. So Kurat, you act, and this is role play. You act, please, as a teacher of school. And Hanouf, I would like to ask you to be a business person, represent business. And well, I hope you don't get offended. I would like to ask you to be a woman, a pregnant woman role. Okay. And Steve, please play as governor, like a mayor.
Okay.
Of some locality. And Darlene, please act as a child. Okay? Yeah. So each of you has about, so situations like this. We have a boat. We're in the middle of sea. But our boat is facing overweight. So it cannot go further in this kind of weight. So somebody should be out of the boat to keep further travel. But all of you want to stay there. But one should be out at the end. And, oh, thank you. And here, this group will decide who should go out. But you need to protect yourself. You have less than a minute to justify why you should stay.
Oh, God, this is my whole life.
So the instruction for this group is please listen carefully, and you decide who should be out of the boat. Is it clear?
All right.
Okay, please start. Correct.
I'm a teacher, and I'm teaching the younger generation, and I am, imparting education to them, and I have a very important role to play in the society. And losing me would be losing the future of the younger generations, and that doesn't make sense.
Thank you.
Well, I'm a businesswoman.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a businesswoman. I know how to plan things. I know what's the cost and benefit of every single thing. And I think I'm the future.
Thank you.
I have the future right here in my stomach. I have the most potential out of everybody in the group because I have not just my life to worry about, but
Now, as the mayor of this amazing group, I'm speaking in my Bill Clinton voice. As the mayor of this amazing group, I'd like to promise all of you a deep tax rebate.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very young, and I have my whole life in front of me, so I could be your next president. I could be something special. I could be a scientist that saves the world, finds a cure for cancer. So I think you should save it.
That's all, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. And but ultimately, somebody should be out. So group should, say, maybe we don't do each individual voting, but majority voices. Who should be out of the boat to save the life of the rest of the people? Yeah, please. Should be out. Yeah, Anton.
The mayor as the heaviest.
Okay.
It's an election year and the politician has to go.
Okay. And Laura, you said something?
Well, I think we are missing the very important information. Who is a good swimmer? So the best swimmer should just go and swim.
Well, we're in the middle of the big sea, so I think even Michael Phelps cannot make it.
And I'm afraid of sharks a lot, so.
Swimming is good for pregnant people.
So it seems we're having still different opinions who should be out.
Thank you.
So we got two people said mayor should be out, right? Oh, mayor.
Sorry. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. This is all of the exercise. Thank you.
You were saved the audience.
What I want to say, what I wanted to touch here from this exercise, this is the situation, and somebody should be excluded. Somebody should have been excluded in this situation. We didn't care about the rights of everyone. All of them had human rights, equal. But we just said, and they tried to convince the rest what they can do, what they can contribute, what they are good at. But nobody said, this is my right, you are violating my, no. So this is the reality of situations I want to say in developing countries. This is about, I would say, who contributes most can survive, or who can do best can survive. Who is productive, that can survive. But what it means, like if somebody is not bringing much input, but consuming, that person is less productive. This is how unfortunately, many situations is measured. This is what I say, battle between cost and benefit and human rights. There are some, I want to bring up some examples about this. Like, for example, if we, in developing countries, I know there's still some, let's say, big weddings, birthdays, or big weddings are celebrated with many people, like it's 100, 200 people. But as we said in statistics, out of 100 people, we should see 7 there at least with disabilities. But it's not a case in my observation. I think we don't see many disabled people in big celebrations or weddings, let's say. And I think I have talked to some of my friends, families. Somebody to take the child or person with disability into public cinema or school, somebody from family members should be bringing them out because they need some assistance. And what is done? Well, somebody should be out of work, cannot bring money into family, should be kept busy with this person with disability, guiding or taking to school or wedding anywhere. But they said, well, it's too expensive to keep somebody else at home without earning. So maybe it's better if you stay. or if you are put into institution, or if you are going to boarding school, this is how all this isolation, this is because that person is not productive and that person is taking too much of cost for the family. This is a very much prevailed view. And I would like to ask you again to think a little bit. It's another exercise. So we see here star and box. We have a situation. And I want to clarify, this is box. It's not open on side. It has an open hole on the top, like little hole. But we have a star which is bigger than the hole. The task is we need to get the star into the box. I would like to hear how we can get it. Any suggestions what we should do to get this star into the box? Yeah? How? Can you repeat, please?
Smash the box. Break up the box.
How?
Sledgehammer.
Okay. Any more?
You need to widen the
Hole. I mean, make it bigger hole to get the star into it. Okay? Yeah?
Or better to keep the star outside.
Star keep outside. Okay. And Darren?
Shred the star and then put it in a box.
Okay. Any more? Yep.
Why we want to put it inside the box? Why we don't take off this box? Because if you think this in terms of disability, we try to make them in box, put in box and exclude them. Why we doing this? We try to make them outside.
Okay. That's also one point. You had some point, right?
What's wrong with the star where it's at?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. There are two kinds of solutions we hear mainly about this kind of exercises. And, oops, I need to do something. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. And they are like this. Here, as Darren said, we will make the star into hole shape and get it into box. So box stays same, doesn't change. But star will change and becomes round and gets into the box where all rounds are. And here, another solution is box, this hole covers out, and we get star, we get triangle, everything into it, rounds. And when we talk about the people, it's not only disabled people. So if you talk about disabled people, here, star, let's say, disabled people should be changed to get into the box. So in our sense, box is a society. Box, when I say society, is very much abstract or very wide meaning, but society is consisting of university, school, family, business, street, parks, cinema, club. That's all society. So then there should be special school for round people, or there should be special parks, special cinemas for round people to be there. And they cannot be part of the mainstream society. But if we take this whole out, and we don't have to make, this is kind of being normal. Making the star like a normal. But because society is built, let's say, to accept the people who are normal. Normal, I myself don't believe the concept of normality. There is no normality, I think. It doesn't exist, my strong belief. And this is changing society. Making schools inclusive, university, make ramps, build elevators, provide assistive services, ASL card, all these things. So then it will be more inclusive. And I said inclusion and integration. Like we know EU has a strong laws, regulations. If some country wants to be part of, integrate into EU, they should become normal. Or they should match with the requirements of EU to become an EU member. I mean, to integrate into EU. So they should be changed. So here, like, let's say integration and inclusion, and I'm for, and I think the global trend is going to that way. But still, I think there are a lot of to do. And this picture I took in August when I was walking around the Syracuse, and it was, I never saw in my country like taking care of the tree, you know, like this way. They put something, you know, down, up, but this is different. It was interesting. I didn't have any meaning when I took this photo, but recently I understood it in some different way. And that comes random picture from internet. But it's not so random. It has a purpose here, being here. It's again same as previous. This tree, why it's made like this? From early time, this tree is being kept, rehabilitated, fixed to be normal, to be beautiful, to be productive tree. If it's not, if it has like branch going somewhere, differently, not so, straight. Let's say somebody start cutting it to make it more productive or to make it more beautiful. And if we turn it into the life, into human being, then we are making this tree as a round shape. We are not letting this tree to grow as it wants or grow more branches as it wants. So this is kind of rehabilitation. I know the rehabilitation is necessary, but it should not be a condition to be part of society. If you are not rehabilitated, if your eyes are not open, or if your limbs are not grown, you cannot be, no, that's, but unfortunately, this is a medical model of disability. It's kind of understood as a medical model of disability, and still very much prevailing in the world and in developing countries. And I would just want to say here, it should be a well-shaped and productive tree. And for some of you, it might be news. Like back in, maybe, I don't know, it was 60s, there was a law even called ugly law. Yes. In the United States, they had a law called ugly law. And this is because ugly law, it's meant, to my understanding, about the people like who doesn't, let's say, look beautiful or disgusting, let's say. That is about them. That law formally was named ugly law. And here, just one quote, one of my friends who live in Uzbekistan, one day he said, he has a child with autism, and he said, he calls his child Angel. And my angel spoke one more word today. When you hear this, it's okay, you might, but when you start thinking behind why he said that, and there's a lot. He's so happy that his child spoke one more word. Saying many words or one more word is, he thinks, good for child to be out among with children, to the school. If he doesn't speak words, so he cannot be there. This is, again, about being normal. Speaking a word, so you are coming closer to being normal. Or you are becoming more round than star. And for, there are two different ways I believe should be done to change situations, like we call enablement and empowerment. Like, if somebody wants to help, to change situation around disability. And I like this illustration very much. This tree is in the box. It's covered, so it's somewhere in the box. So it's limited. It cannot grow. But it can grow further by two different interventions, enablement and empowerment. Enablement can be done by somebody outside, not the person disabled himself. Like somebody comes and removes the box and the tree can grow further. And empowerment is putting some nutrition or training, educating, helping the person with disability. That's a tree, it can break the box itself and go further. And when we talk about the people who are, let's say, with disability, facing disability problems, should, I think, receive this kind of interventions or assistance. That was all. And I think we're having very short time for talks. And I said I promote to be actions to be done, not just promises or not on papers. Do some acts. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Babies in stomach of mothers, and the doctors, the society, sometimes they want to abortion them because they are stable.
Yep.
They crash them, and these babies don't right to write according to their perspective. Also, we have to talk about these kind of things because these mothers are crashed because of society, because of doctors, because of lots of things.
I totally agree with you. They are very much influenced by society, by the people. Like, one thing I want to say, when some child with disability born, first persons they face, mothers, is some doctor, nurse, hospital, and they say, best place for your child and for your family is the institution. Send to the institution. They take care of the child well, and your family, you can pay more attention on your other children, and you can have work. But if you keep the child, your other children affected, you cannot pay much attention, and you have to be from work and with your child.
Fourth one is they don't want to see this
Yeah.
life.
Yes.
They say abortion.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they don't want. Yeah, there's screening in a medical development, does some prenatal screening, and they see the child has some kind of impairment. Then, yeah, as you said, they don't want to life. Yeah. Thanks.
I'm just curious about. I agree with what you're talking about this presentation. Where the rubber meets the road is what actions do you actually do that create this kind of change in Uzbekistan or wherever you've been. Countries with very limited resources.
Yes.
This is really hard to do.
Thank you for, yeah.
Hands-on work
Yes.
where it's done.
Thank you very much for raising this question. Actually, it is not so difficult and it's not so expensive to create environment for barrier-free and, let's say, make society different. It is only wrong perceptions and misperceptions or panicking about this, like, let's say, make excess. It's not so expensive as it is being, discussed, seen. But what we can do, what I would like to highlight first, I think and I believe the change should be led by disabled people themselves first. And they are, I think, experts. They are most knowledgeable what should be done. And for that, what I said, work more with disabled people and empower them. What I mean empower, maybe empower might sound like very ambitious, big word, but what everyone can do, listen what they are saying. Because not many disabled people are neglected, not listened. So if somebody just attentively listening when they're talking, let them speak, hear them, then they will feel more empowered. They think, because most of times they've been neglected and they have not listened because of their misperception about their dignity. And if you start listening, hearing, they will feel more empowered, and then you will know what they need. What I mean is in acts, I don't know, every organization, every institution can have different acts. For example, if you are working, bank, just provide there some about your, let's say, loan or credit or plastic or whatever program, put flyers, leaflets in accessible format, like in Braille, or put big screens with big fonts. I don't know. There are different. That was a problem which I mentioned, lack of knowledge about the technologies. And they are not so difficult and not so inaccessible. Just very easy. Somebody just needs to a little bit think about it. Yep.
Yeah, I have a question kind of building off that. The idea of people with disabilities not having this high confidence as other people. And my question to you is, how are Paralympics viewed in your country, where people with disabilities are competing on a very, very high level, similar to the Olympians, exactly the same, just different sport. So how's that viewed?
We also have in my country Paralympic committee, and the sportsmen from with disabilities go all Paralympic, and we have like actually Special Olympics and Paralympics. So you know the difference, right, between them. So Paralympics, there's, I mean, I would say maybe about out of, when you are asking about, I mean, Olympics and Paralympics. So people go to Paralympic Games, but the difference of numbers is very big between Olympians and Paralympians. But still, like, I think every time there's 4 or 5 Paralympians go to Paralympic Games. But what I think it's big potential these Paralympics can be used, they are not much involved in disability movement. They are not being, you know, promoting this change, but which they could be very strong in that.
Yeah. I know we're going to run out of time, so I'm going to talk fast.
Yeah.
One thing that I think is interesting is that both in you know, Europe and the United States, but also in Uzbekistan, it's the case that people with disabilities who live in the urban centers do better than people who live in the countryside or in rural places. This is true here, and it's true in Uzbekistan. And so it is a worldwide truth. So one of the things that I think really needs to be thought about from an activism perspective, and I'm speaking here as a disabled person himself, right, is to find ways to go to the countryside, into smaller places, and demonstrate how people with disabilities and the non-disabled can come together. And so it also, you know, in a way, involves showing people productive, inclusive models. Because people don't know.
Exactly.
They don't know. And they live with despair. And so the more ways you can show them not only inclusion and empowerment, as you were talking about, but the practicality of disabled people being part of, you know, the village, then you've accomplished something great. You know, because you're educating people, and once they're educated about this, they feel so good. Right? You know, I was just, as you know, in China. And we brought non-disabled and disabled students together to do dances and music and poetry. And an elderly man whose daughter has multiple sclerosis wept because he said, I never thought I would see this. My daughter with, you know, the other people. So.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great comment. This is true.
I think that I tend to be, I'm 68 years old. So that means I've been alive in the 40s to 50s to 60s to 70s to 80s to 90s, and now 14 years into the millennium. And so if you look at any issue you're talking about, we were the third world country in the 40s. Children were taken away from parents in the hospitals, and they were taken home. And so I think the issue is, we look at the evolution of where we are today. It's a 50-year journey. And what we're really talking about, for any problem you want to solve, you've got to have a constituency to solve the problem. So I always like to say in my advocacy, there's an old saying that says, where there's a will, there's a way. My job is to create the will to make something happen. If it could be done, would you do it? And until you get that buy-in, the way is academic. Because otherwise everyone's going to fight you to the death. You know, so I think part of our job is whatever it is you want, you know, who cares? That's the big issue right there, who cares? Other than the person living with the problem. That's the issue you gotta take on.
Yes, please.
Just one thing to share. In Ghana, what the government is trying to do to break down the barriers is to have appointed a disabled professor as a Minister for Culture.
Yes.
And this has really helped to break that barrier because culturally there are several things, the perception, disabled persons are bad from certain practices and even certain communities and all that. But because of this appointment, which is quite a high-level appointment, chieftaincy institutions are beginning to address that problem and now bringing out all the disabled in the communities. So gradually, they are making some inroads into this. And it's also up to, as you rightly said, the issue of empowerment. It's up to the disabled also in the communities to empower themselves, come out and speak up. Because you can always, drag, there's a limit to what you can do. As development partners and NGOs, civil societies working in government, they can teach you and provide certain things, but the rest you would have to do it. So this is the little story from Ghana that I think.
Good. Actually, as you said, like disabled people should be coming out, speaking. I want to tell here something. Yes, but there are many disabled people, they don't know that they can go and out and demand it. And as Steve mentioned, in urban places, people are stronger and situations different. That's why I really always encourage like disabled people who are advanced or they're self-advocates should do more peer support things, going to rural areas, like talking to the people, doing more outreach and speaking that they can be stronger, they can demand, they can be part of society. Because they don't think. They think this is what their life is. They are in their box, and family should be giving money, they should get the pension, and they are not hungry today. That's it. This is what they are bound with only. Any more comments or questions? Or I think we're a bit running time. Thank you.